Hello, hello. Haley here with Basically at Meals. It is Thursday night, which means it's time for Facebook Live. I'm here every Thursday on the Facebook page at Basically at Meals, usually with wine, always with a nutrition tip for you. That's going to make your life healthier, easier, and just make you feel better, help you feel better. That's my whole goal. So my name's Haley. I am the owner and founder of Basically at Meals, which does healthy, delicious, and delivered meals right here in St. Louis, Missouri. And my background is in nutrition education. I have a degree in Nutrition and Exercise Physiology from Mizzou, and I have many, many years of nutrition education experience. Even though I'm running my own company now, my real passion is to help you understand how the food that you're putting into your body affects your health and affects the way that you feel on a day-to-day basis, and hopefully give you some useful tips to improve all of that, make your life a lot easier. So in honor of February, which is Heart Health Month, we are doing 4 heart health topics this month. Our first one tonight is healthy fats, how do fats affect your body? And next week is going to be sugar and carbohydrates, which a lot of us don't realize or think about those as affecting our heart. And then after that, we've got salt and cholesterol. So those are going to be our 4 heart health topics this month. All these videos go up on the YouTube page, which is at Basically It, and you can find them all there. I also send out recipes every week, which is great for anyone who watches this. I send out a recipe to you that's on the topic. It's a little fumbly there, but I send out recipes that kind of like go along with the topic that I did. So that'll be going out next week. If you want to sign up for my mailing list, which you absolutely should, because I do tips, recipes, all that kind of stuff, you can go to my website, basicallyatmeals.com. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, there's a little box down there. You can enter your email address and I'll be sure to get those recipes to you. Okay. So fat has a bad rap. There's also been a ton of new information coming out about it lately. So its bad rap started because of the 3 macronutrients: protein, carbohydrates, and fat. Protein and carbohydrates have 4 calories per gram, and fat has 9 calories per gram. So it's a lot higher in calories than the other macros. But calories don't exist in a vacuum. So what they do in a lab doesn't necessarily the same thing as what happens at our body. So we can't judge every food by its caloric value. We should judge it by a lot of things, but calories alone, no, not a good judgment. But it did get a bad rap a couple years ago in the 80s and 90s, and we got really freaked out by fat. Now it's coming back, but what types are actually good and bad? So that's what I'm going to break down for you. I do want to mention that for heart health purposes, inflammation is the really important thing. It's the really big factor in heart health. It's kind of like the base of all of our heart disease issues. So low-level chronic inflammation is caused by too much stress, unhealthy lifestyle, so not enough movement, not a good diet, not enough water, and those are kind of the founding fathers. Acute inflammation, like if we get an infection or if we sprain an ankle, that's good. That means our immune system's working. It's doing its job to heal us. But when we're chronically inflamed at very low levels, it just does a lot of damage, and there's no healing to be had. So we just walk around inflamed constantly, and it makes us really sick over time. So this is what we're kind of all of these 4 topics are going to try to help you do is find a little bit of inflammation relief in your life. And the fats that really cause inflammation are 2. Trans fats, first of all. Hopefully you've heard about this. They have technically been banned in the United States, but there's a loophole. They don't have to be labeled below 0.5 grams. So you could buy one of those big muffins, and there's 3 or 4 servings in there. And if there's 0.5 grams of trans fats per serving, and there's 3 servings, and you eat the whole muffin, you just had 1.5 or 2 grams of trans fats. but they didn't have to be labeled because it's below 0.5 grams. If that doesn't make sense, I'll write a transcript on YouTube. But trans fats are not safe at any level. The trans fats are a man-made fat. So we took a fat that's liquid at room temperature and we made it solid at room temperature through a chemical process. And what that does is it changes the shelf life of that oil or that fat. So this fat in particular would be an oil, and it changes the shelf life. So it no longer is going to go bad the same way that fat at a liquid at room temperature would go bad. And it changes how it texturizes the food. So it's going to give the food a different texture, probably a more mouth-pleasing texture, which a lot of processed manufactured foods are processed in a way that give them a nice mouth texture, which is really interesting. So a lot of times they have different chemicals, various chemicals and additives to change the mouthfeel texture. That's actually second to taste in terms of how much pleasure we get out of the food, which is really interesting. So this fat has been chemically altered in a way that our body doesn't recognize. So when we take that fat in, that trans fat, our body doesn't know what it is. It doesn't know how to break down. It doesn't know how to get rid of it. It doesn't know, it's a foreign chemical, and that ignites our immune system, which causes low-level inflammation chronically if we're eating those kinds of foods all the time. So the only way to truly avoid trans fats is to avoid processed packaged foods and fried foods, because those trans fats can be added to a lot of different things. A lot of times baked goods, those are popular, and so the muffins, any packaged baked item can have trans fats in it, and fried foods too. So those are what we really want to watch out for. Any processed packaged food is suspect. It could have some sort of trans fat in it. And if it doesn't have trans fat, it has another type of fat that we want to avoid, which is saturated fats. Some saturated fats. Some of them are overly processed, and those aren't good for us either. So really it's those processed packaged foods that are definitely going to cause some kind of inflammation within our body. That's not to say that you can't ever have them, because it is a part of life. We do live in a society where those delicious, amazing foods are available all the time. And for me to tell you that you can't ever eat them, or that I don't ever eat them, would be unfair. It would be a lie too, because I absolutely make room for those in my life. And you should too. This isn't about going cold turkey and never eating those foods again. It's about figuring out, making a plan for yourself. When are you going to eat them? How are they going to fit into your life? And how do you want to feel on a day-to-day basis? Because they absolutely are going to affect how you feel every day. So those are our trans fats. Then we get to our saturated fats. These are solid at room temperature. So naturally, they're not man-made processed, solid at room temperature. Animal fats, so you think about red meat, and it's got a sliver of fat in it. That's solid at room temperature. Dairy fat, so butter, cheese, lard, and whole milk fat, which is in a liquid, but that is, if you skimmed it out, be solid. And then also fats that are added to processed foods, which I kind of already went over. So this class of fats is under a lot of debate right now. And in my personal opinion, they can be detrimental to your health if you're overdoing it. We don't need to be drinking whole milk every day. We probably don't need butter every day, and we definitely don't need red meat every day. So what I suggest is place some sort of limitation on those. If you usually cook with butter, switch over to another high heat oil. Canola oil is fine. Grapeseed oil is fine. Those are great high heat oils. And you can try coconut oil too. Coconut oil is a saturated fat. It is solid at room temperature, but it has some other nutrition benefits to it. So it's not all bad. I think with the saturated fats, it's more about just keep being mindful and making sure we're consuming in moderation, because all of these have the potential to cause inflammation. But if we're not overdoing it, if we're balancing that out with healthy fats, and we're definitely avoiding a lot of the processed foods, we're probably going to be fine. So the red meat once a week, butter once a week, cheese once a week. And then I don't do a ton of milk or milk. That's all I was going to say. I don't do milk at all, period. So for that, I would say go with a, 1% milk, 1% fat milk. You definitely don't need whole milk, and just try to limit that. Their dairy would be a whole other Facebook Live, and we'll do that sometime. But for those saturated fats, that's really more about moderation, just making sure you're aware of how many you're eating and really balancing them out with other healthy anti-inflammatory foods, which are peppered throughout all of my Facebook Lives. There's a ton of content on my YouTube page at Basically It. You can find all different types of anti-inflammatory recipes, and I've done Facebook Lives just on inflammation, so you can find all of that there. And this email will absolutely have more information about inflammation. Let's say that 3 times fast. Okay, so those are the ones that we want to watch out for. Then we've got our good fats, the anti-inflammatory fats, and that's really what this class of fats is going to do. And the ones that we've definitely heard of are omega-3s and omega-6s. Hopefully we've heard of them. Those are part of the polyunsaturated fats, which is not important. You don't ever have to remember that. But you will hear that. That's why I mention it. That is in the class of good fats, as well as monounsaturated, which I will get to. So the omega-3s are really good for us. Omega-3s and omega-6s are essential fatty acids, which means we have to get them in our diet. Our bodies cannot produce them, but we do need them. So we have to get that through our diet. And we do that with the omega-3s are going to come from fish. I love wild-caught fish. Wild-caught salmon, wild-caught sardines are far, far superior to anything that's factory farmed. Do not get farmed fish. It is almost as bad as getting any farmed animal, and I don't just mean in terms of treatment, but in terms of diet. The factory farmed fish are fed a diet usually of corn, which means that the fish comes out differently. It is not the same fish that you get from a wild-caught stream. So we really don't want to be eating factory farmed fish because they don't have the same benefits. If you're eating it just for protein, fine. But if you're eating it as an anti-inflammatory part of your diet, you have to get wild caught. And yes, it is probably going to be more expensive, but my suggestion is to go with canned. You don't have to cook it, and it's pretty inexpensive. So that's what I go with every time, and it tastes fine. I don't have to cook, which is awesome, because guess what? I do a lot of cooking for you, and by the time I get home, I don't feel like cooking anymore. So canned fish is fantastic. Other good sources of omega-3s are flaxseed. Most nuts and seeds are really good sources of omega-3s. And walnuts, another good one. With the flaxseed, I love flaxseed. I had to cut them all off, but it makes my fingernails grow like crazy. I add it to smoothies. I put it in oatmeal. I'll sprinkle it, I was going to say on cereal, but I don't eat cereal. So oatmeals and smoothies are my sources of flaxseed, but you have to get the milled flaxseed. If you get the whole flaxseed, you can't absorb the nutrients. The fat is too bound up in the fiber, so it has to be milled. But flaxseed, walnut, salmon, sardines, those are all great sources of omega-3s. Then we get to our omega-6s, which are also healthy, and usually this is in the form of oil. So we've got safflower, sunflower, canola oil, and those are good. But the problem is where we come back to the inflammation, even though these are 2 anti-inflammatory foods, we have an imbalance of them oftentimes. So the omega-3s, fish, nuts, and seeds, we don't get enough of those. But we get plenty of the oils. We get plenty of safflower, sunflower, canola oil, oftentimes in the form of a processed food. And so while it's not bad in balance, it is bad when they're imbalanced. So if we have tons of the oils and not enough of the salmon, nuts, and seeds, we get imbalanced, and then we get inflammation again. So we do have to keep in mind that while those omega-6s are good, they have to be balanced out with our omega-3s. And we need a lot more omega-3s than we need omega-6s. So definitely be eating those fish 2 to 3 times a week. I would definitely recommend. And nuts, seeds, great snacks. You can kind of throw them into, make a trail mix, throw them into your cereal, have some nut butter on an apple or a banana as a snack. There's so many different ways to use those nuts and really reap all the benefits from them. So highly suggest that you do that. And then we've got our monounsaturated, and this is where we oftentimes hear about the Mediterranean diet, which is full of olive oil, as well as olives. They do also contain the fats because that's where olive oil comes from. Whoa, solving mysteries tonight. So olive oil, avocados, many nuts also have monounsaturated fats, and then some of those oils also have the monounsaturated fats, which is great. But we kind of hear about the monounsaturated as the Mediterranean diet, where you eat tons of cold olive oil. Olive oil shouldn't be cooked with. You don't want to heat it too much. You eat tons of fish, you eat tons of fresh fruits and vegetables, and some red wine. And it is Wine About It Thursday Night Live, so you gotta have your red wine, which I should only exclusively drink red wine on this, and I oftentimes have white wine because that's what is in my house. But I'll keep this in mind. I'll moving forward, maybe just do the red. Anyways, okay, so we get to that the Mediterranean diet of the monounsaturated fats, and that's a fantastic way to think about eating. It's fish, fruits, vegetables, cold olive oil, some red wine, some avocado. I don't know if I mentioned that one or not. That's a great source of those monounsaturated fats. Nuts, seeds, all those like really delicious fresh foods that if you are doing it right, taste amazing and are absolutely a fantastic way to live and eat. So I would suggest, kind of thinking about how you can model that Mediterranean diet in your everyday life. That's a fantastic way to incorporate all of those healthy foods as well as the other anti-inflammatory nutrients into your day, and kind of just letting go of some of those processed foods. It's oftentimes a huge part of our life, and that is okay. That does not mean tomorrow you go whole hog, cold turkey. How many more meat metaphors can I come up with? And like quit everything. It means that you slowly cut them out. If your portion is usually, a whole bag of chips, maybe you try to cut it down to 3/4 of a bag. And by the end of, a month, you're down to 1/4 of the bag, and you're skipping it altogether. It's about making little tweaks here and there to slowly chip away at those habits, because they are habits. They are there. And if you just try to completely ignore them, they're gonna, come up and bite you. So really chip away at them little by little. Be conscious, be aware of what you're eating. And oftentimes kind of adding something can help you push something else out. So adding more, trail mix as your snack instead of chips can certainly help to cut that chip habit. Having dark chocolate at dessert time instead of ice cream can certainly help to chip away at the ice cream habit. So it's kind of adding more fruits and vegetables can really fill you up, and so you don't need a second cheeseburger. It's kind of those little bitty things that I want you to think about incorporating into your day and into your diet to help you just sort of balance everything out. So really avoiding the processed packaged foods as much as possible, or just kind of replacing and changing those habits, and loading your diet up with the healthy fats, the olive oil, not heated, the nuts, the seeds, the fish, the avocado is a fantastic way to care for your heart and really feel your best, for real. So I want to thank you guys for being here tonight. I do want you to go to my website, basicallyatmeals.com, and give me your email address so that you can get the recipes that I send out every week. I have a ton of content, you guys. So many recipes. I love sharing them. That is my part of my purpose, I think, is to share like these healthy, easy recipes. They're all easy. They're really simple. They come together in minutes. Oftentimes I'll share a video of me cooking them with you, which makes that even easier. So go there, basicallyatmeals.com, give me your email address so that I can give you those recipes. And also go to the Instagram page that is basically_it_. And I had a little, there it is. And I think this is gonna be backwards, but that's okay. Basically_it_. That's our Instagram page. Go like our Instagram page because I do a ton of content there as well. I'm in the Instagram stories every day doing recipes, tips, hacks, tricks, all of the things that I have up my sleeve I share with you there. So definitely go like our Instagram page, basically_it_, and come check us out. Let me know what else you want to hear from me. These videos are for you. So I love hearing your feedback, your comments, what's going to be interesting to you. I kind of have the rest of February set, but I'm still taking suggestions for the rest of the year and forward. So let me know what you want, what you want me to talk about, and I look forward to seeing you in my email inbox or outbox because I'm going to send you some recipes, and I'll see you on Instagram as well. So thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next Thursday at 5:30 on the Facebook page, Basically at Meals, and I will definitely have some red wine. So I'll see you then. Bye.